Hey everyone, I'm Nico from Licks of the Beast, and in this video we're gonna look at 3 Adrian Smith licks and their live versions. Adrian Smith is of course one of the 3 guitarists in Iron Maiden, and he's influenced multiple generations of heavy metal guitarists with his unique licks. And for me, some of the most memorable ones are actually his live versions. As awesome as Adrian is in the studio, there's just a different vibe and energy in his live playing. And I think that's where he truly shines. So with this video, I want to look at 3 licks that Adrian plays differently from the album version in specific live recordings. The first lick we're going to look at is one that many of you will be familiar with. And I would say the live version of this lick is even more iconic than what was played on the original recording. I'm talking about, of course, the Wicker Man. On the original, he plays a diminished arpeggio, like this. And he ends with this legato bit, which sounds really cool but is really not connected to the first part of that lick at all. Live, on the other hand, he uses that last legato motif for the entire lick, based on the E harmonic minor scale. And that I find flows a lot better. Now, because this is a lick he had already had in his repertoire from before the Wicker Man, he actually used the same lick on Bruce Dickinson's single Road to Hell a few years earlier. My guess is that he did a few different things in the studio, and they ended up combining the 2 parts. Maybe that's what everyone liked best at the time. Now live, Adrian probably prefers to play his original lick better. I also like how he ends the solo on the Nights of the Dead live album from the Legacy of the Beast tour. The original run is fast and has quite a bit of notes, like this. And it's definitely a cool lick, but when I first heard this live version, it actually made my heart rate go up. It's so simple, but it's the most Adrian thing ever. It goes something like this. That is a seriously powerful way to end a solo. The next lick I want to show you is from his Hallowed Be Thy Name solo on Live After Death, which was of course filmed during their Power Slave tour. The original album version of the solo is very memorable, so to change any of those licks is pretty risky, and yet I haven't ever heard him play that solo like on the album. Even on Beast over Hammersmith, which was recorded during the Number of the Beast tour, he played a combination of licks that were for the most part unrelated to the original solo. And there are many possible reasons for this, but my guess is he just wasn't all that happy with what he played on the album version. So what I want to look at here is the first half of the solo. So on the original recorded version, he starts with this lick here. On Live After Death, he plays the same lick, but he varies the timing a bit so that it's a little more uneven and creates kind of a broken rhythm that really catches your attention. The next part on the album version goes like this. On this live version, he moves down an octave, which already sounds more interesting. But instead of just playing the same lick an octave lower like this, he changes it to this motif. And this Randy Rhoads style pull-off pattern here. So the whole thing together goes something like this. Example number 3 is the first lick from Adrian's solo on 2 Minutes to Midnight. The original version is very recognizable. Since Rockin' Rio, he's been doing a cool variation of that lick where he starts a fourth higher on the B string, and he plays a similar idea, except instead of doing a straightforward descending lick, this one is more of a circular pattern where he descends and then ascends again, starting and ending on the same bend from D to E. So he's using a similar rhythm which keeps a sense of familiarity, but whereas the original version starts off a little more dark and melancholic, this live version sounds more energetic and upbeat. I know I said 3, but I have a bonus one that I just had to include because I think it's such a great example of how the better lick isn't always the better lick. In Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Adrian starts the second half of his solo with this really awesome lick using notes from the A blues scale. I genuinely love this lick. On the live version from Flight 666, he plays the first half of the solo almost identical to the original, and then he throws a curveball on the second half. Instead of the blues lick, he goes for what I would consider the exact opposite, with this tapped descending lick based on the Aeolian mode. As a lick on its own, I prefer the blues lick. I think it's more articulated and more interesting. However, the cool factor of the tapped lick is undeniable. And combined with the fact that it comes unexpectedly and pretty much from out of nowhere, it makes the solo even more impactful. I'm planning on doing a video like this for Dave and Yannick as well, so if you have a favorite live solo, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I hope this video gave you a little more insight as to why Adrian might have changed these classic licks, and if you're an intermediate guitar player, I hope this might get you thinking about how to apply these concepts to your own solos. Please don't forget to leave a like and do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching and stay tuned for more licks of the beast.